Hey everybody, StogieFarts here. As you can probably tell by the title of this video, this is definitely a strange video. You know, some people on YouTube will put up creative video titles to get your attention, to make you watch them, and those video titles sometimes have nothing to do with what the person's about to talk about. Well, that is not the case here. This really is about a neighbor decomposing. But first, I'll show you what I'm drinking. Some reindeer droppings. This beer's about a year old. It was given to me last Christmas, so I figured it's about time I drink the damn thing. But it's good. So what is this whole nonsense about a decomposing neighbor? Well, I don't know if I've talked about it before, but on some of my past videos I might have mentioned I have a neighbor, my next door neighbor, my direct next door neighbor. It's a lady. When she moved in, I thought maybe she might be a hoarder or something. You know, she always kept to herself. She always left her back window wide open, whether it was 100 degrees outside or whether it was 30 degrees outside. That window was always open because she had a cat, and the cat would always come in and out of her house. And whenever I talked to the lady, she was nice, but she never left the house. And, you know, there were days, you know, garbage gets picked up once a week here. There were days that, you know, there'd go 1, 2, 3 weeks will go by and she wouldn't have any garbage, which is weird. And on one occasion prior to this, I did see the cops come into her yard. Actually, they knocked on my door first and they said, "Do you know the lady next door?" And I said, "Yeah." And they said, "Well, do you know if she's okay? Because we got a phone call from a friend of hers that hasn't been able to get a hold of her." And I told the cops at that time, this lady, she's always in her house. She never leaves. You know, I don't know if she's okay. So we went over there, and she was alive and sitting in her chair that she sits in and watches TV all day. She was sitting in her chair, and apparently she wasn't answering the phone, she wasn't answering the front door, but when the cops came in there, she let the cops know she was okay. And that was probably, I would say, maybe a few months ago. So, today, came back in town. I was gone for a couple days with my family, and I see a cop in the backyard. And so it's happened to be the same cop that I talked to the first time when he had come to my door. And I said, "Hey officer, are you guys doing another welfare check, making sure she's okay?" And the officer said, "We're just looking to make sure that nothing's been messed with here, you know." I said, "Messed with? Or are you looking for the lady? Because her car's out front." And the officer told me, he said, "She died, dude." And I said, "What?" I go, when did she die?" Well, apparently the story goes, 2 days ago, December 21st, well, that's when they found her. So 2 days ago is when the coroner came and took her out. And in fact, if you look at her door right now, her back window, there's a piece of paper on there right now that says, you know, "Do not enter, you know, from the coroner of the city we live in, and don't mess with anything. You know, if you break the seal on this window, it's a crime." So, of course, what I did, I hopped the fence and I looked over there and got a picture of it. But it's really freaky because apparently, even though they found her 2 days ago, they said she's been dead for weeks. And I told the officer before, I said if she ever died, I'd probably be the first person to know, because I'm always out here in my backyard. She always leaves that window open. And if she died, I'd probably smell it, because the wind comes, you know, this way from her house to my house. Well, you can imagine how shocked I was that she's been dead for weeks and I had no idea. But apparently that's for a couple reasons. One, it's been so damn cold here in California. I haven't really been hanging out outside. So, you know, had this not been in such a cold season, I probably would have popped my head over the fence and saw something was up. And the second reason, which is related to the first reason why I didn't realize anything happened, is because it's so cold, the smell and all that stuff stayed inside the house. In fact, the officer told me, he said when they found her, after, you know, she'd obviously been dead for a while, that it wasn't really a pretty sight in there. Because I told the officer, I said, "Officer, you know, I thought for sure if she'd been dead that long, I would have smelt it, but I'm not out here because it's so cold." And the officer told me that's also probably why you didn't smell it, because it's so cold. You know, the colder it is, the less smell travels on the air, I guess. You know, had this happened in the summertime, would have been a whole different story, because it gets like an oven here in the summertime. So it's pretty disturbing. Like I said, I hopped the fence, I looked in there. It's just weird, you know. I mean, you still see her purse sitting there on the table where she probably, you know, where she obviously left it. You see, you know, a bowl of fruit sitting there that you know is going to go moldy. Her car right there in the driveway where she always leaves it. And I'm real morbid like that. When I think a lot about stuff like that. I look at things and I go, you know, that, you know, she placed that object there, and that object is going to stay there for eternity until somebody else moves it. But like, she moved that there, she hung that picture on the wall. You know, there's the remote that she probably left down there, you know, before she died. And I just think of all this weird stuff like that. Like, you know, that house is like frozen in time right now. So I don't know what's going to happen to it. It's kind of weird. I see like flies and stuff in there. And so I just think like, oh man, that just, you know, did that fly come in there after she died, and, you know, whatever. And she has a cat too. I don't know what's going to happen to the cat. I saw the cat running around here, and it's one of those cats that's really skittish and afraid of people. So it won't come near me, but I don't know what's going to happen to it. She loved that cat. She was in her 50s. She wasn't old, but she had no family, which is why she was a homebody. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to her stuff. I don't know what's going to happen to the house. If any of you guys want to live next to StogieFarts, it looks like I'm going to have a house for sale next door. Other than that, tomorrow's Christmas Eve, and just all, you know, busy with the holidays and stuff like that. So I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas. Have a great holiday. And, well, hopefully I'll have more time to film some videos. But I knew when I had this thing happen, and it kind of freaked me out, and I'm kind of shook up about it, I knew I had to film and talk to you guys about it. Because this is my virtual couch, and you guys are like my virtual psychiatrist. So leave a comment, let me know what you think. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Talk to you later.